Hello and welcome to another Sky Sports Fantasy Football Game Week preview. We are uploading this on Wednesday today because I did get a bit caught up in the UCL fantasy stuff yesterday, so obviously we normally put these out on Tuesdays. Today is Wednesday, this is when it's going out. I apologise that it's a day late, but it should be all the same anyways. As always, we are going to start off with the average remaining transfers. Again, this was posted on Friday by Sky Sports, so we don't have this weekend's transfers, so obviously these are going to be a bit lower / higher depending on what kind of direction they go in. But again, another week of not too much movement in the grand scheme of things. Obviously you can see with the top 10 we have an extra 2.2 transfers, so this was 13.6 transfers in the top 10 last week, and we're obviously getting people with more transfers moving into the top 10 now, which is obviously causing the average to go up. Then realistically the top 100, top 1000 and top 5000 hasn't really moved too much. The only thing that's really notable is the fact that the top 100s went from 15.5 up to 16. So again, what we're kind of seeing is those who started the season using all their transfers are kind of starting to drop out of it now, and those that haven't used as many transfers are able to push their way up the ranks now. So again, this is probably just going to be a continuous thing for the next couple of weeks. We're probably going to see the average transfer count going up and up and up as the weeks go on, and those who wasted all their transfers in the first half of the season are probably just going to drop right out of the top 5,000. So this week's popular transfers then, Erling Haaland tops the table again for the second week in a row. Again, quite a significant amount as well with 3.52%. Cole Palmer in at second, which again I'm quite surprised at because I personally wouldn't be bringing him in with him only having like one fixture in the next 3 weeks. So that's probably like people bringing him in for the captaincy. Personally, I think that's just going to be like your casuals again, bringing them in, not really looking at the fixtures, but we'll see with that. Son again, another one who blanks in like a week or two's time. So again, engaged players probably aren't really bringing him in. Obviously that is him back from the Asian Cup, so he will be playing for Spurs more regularly. But again, we have spoke about this in previous game week previews, that we probably don't really want to be bringing him in until about March time. Foden, of course, it always happens. People are reactive when someone scores a lot of goals. Obviously Foden got that hat trick, so he's going to be up there. Then Jota as well. I don't know if people are just bringing him in because he's in decent form, or they're looking towards this week's captaincy against Luton, possibly. But we have seen Salah back in training now. From what I know, he's not back in full contact training. He was in training with the team, but he was doing all the non-contact stuff, so he wasn't actually playing like the attack v defence stuff with the actual team. So we might see him play against Brentford at the weekend, but I think more likely he comes off the bench and then maybe gets the start against Luton. But we'll see with that, and at least with the Luton game we do get to see the lineups. So if Salah is starting, you can always bring him in then. Out transfers, we've got Julian Alvarez is the top one. Again, I would imagine that's most people taking Alvarez out and getting Haaland back in. I would probably be keeping Alvarez, to be honest, if you have him, but I think ideally I would like to have Alvarez and Haaland because they have so many fixtures over the next wee while. But I mean, again, people do what they like to do. We've got Ezri Konsa in at number 2. Now, I didn't actually think he was that highly owned enough to end up making the top 5 transfers out for the week. Obviously he picked up an injury and he is going to be out, but I didn't think he'd actually be owned that much, enough in Sky where people would take him out so much where he makes number 2 and the transfers out for this week. Gordon as well appeared to have an injury. Howe said he had an injury and wouldn't be available, and then ended up starting the day after. So goes to show you that you cannot trust Eddie Howe's press conferences, because he's obviously happy enough just to lie in them to put off journalists and the fans and other teams as well. I mean, it makes sense for a manager. You don't want to give away who's going to be playing and stuff, so I suppose the element of surprise in the football sense makes a lot of sense, but it is quite annoying for us who obviously play fantasy football and rely on that kind of information. Dom Solanke, someone who's coming out. I think the fixtures are getting certain to which one. He's got Newcastle, he's got Man City, so it makes sense that he's coming out. I'd imagine he'll be in He'll be coming in quite a few weeks with the amount of Bournemouth fixtures, and they do have quite easy fixtures as well once those two hard ones are passed. Then Jared Bowen as well, someone who just isn't really performing that much right now. West Ham are just not very great right now, so yes, they have the captaincy against Brentford coming up, but I think in that situation I'd probably rather have Toney now at this point. Obviously Bowen was the one that everyone had planned to have, but Ivan Toney probably looks like the better option now. So we have a very populated game week this week with 3 single game days and 5 game days in general. So we obviously need 5 captaincies. Saturday we are going with Erling Haaland. He does have the home fixture against Chelsea, who aren't looking like awful, but they aren't looking great to the point where you wouldn't want to captain Haaland. It's a home game. It's one of those ones where I think you just go with the crowd there, and then looking at the fixtures anyway, I don't really think there's any obvious ones. Could maybe go for Saka against Burnley if you're interested. As an away fixture, could be a decent differential, but I reckon the most popular captain there is going to be Haaland, and I think he probably is the best. I think he does just edge Saka, because again, you don't really see Saka scoring hat tricks and stuff, whereas Haaland definitely has the much higher ceiling. On Sunday, again, another kind of smaller game week. I think Brighton is going to be the option there. Did speak last week about Højlund, who again scored. Did speak about maybe ways of getting him in, maybe being a decent captaincy. Spoke about this Sunday as a decent captaincy for him if you wanted to go for it. Again, still an opportunity to bring him in if you really want to. I do think you don't like obviously it's not needed because it's not like a single where you need a Man United player. I think most of us should have a Brighton player anyway. So for me, I think Gross is the better one. Sheffield obviously is the worst defence. With João Pedro out as well, Gross is now on the penalties. We saw that with him scoring a penalty last week against Spurs. So for me, I think Gross is the best captaincy. If you're looking to go differential, I think Højlund could be a pretty decent one to look at, but again, we'll look more at that when we look at our fixture gains. On Monday, Everton v Palace. I think Jordan Pickford is the obvious pick here. Other than that, I don't think I'd be wanting any Everton players. I don't think I'd want any Palace players. None of them really stand out whatsoever. So I think a lot of people maybe have Vicario right now, someone who isn't really performing, isn't getting as many saves as we like. Spurs' defence isn't ideal right now. Vicario's not really picked up too many points since the overhaul. So I think that's an easy transfer there. You get Vicario for Saturday against Wolves, and then you can transfer him out for Pickford on Monday. Again, I don't think I would go for anyone else in that. I don't think there's any differentials that you can pick as a striker. So for me, I think I'd just be taking Pickford and captaining him. Tuesday, again, it's an obvious captaincy there. You're going with whatever City player you've got. If you've got De Bruyne, if you've got Haaland, if you've got Foden, I would just be captaining him there. That's a pretty easy one. And then Wednesday we move on to Liverpool versus Luton. I've got Van Dijk down right now. I do think if you're bringing in Jota, could be a pretty decent option, and of course if Salah's fit, I think he'd be the number one pick there, if Salah's starting, that is. But again, I think the majority of us are going to have Van Dijk in our teams. We saw it from the Rating Your Overhaul Drafts video a couple of weeks ago. The majority of players did have Van Dijk, and I would imagine most of us still have him. So he is the backup captaincy there, considering Salah isn't fit for me. So some possible transfers this week. We do have quite a populated bunch here. We are starting with Saka. Again, he is performing quite well right now. He is doing pretty decently. But with the amount of fixtures they've got, I probably would be taking them out. You can get a lot of 4-for-1s and 3-for-1s for Arsenal right now. So you could say the same for Saliba, but you do have to look ahead to the single game day with Arsenal and Sheffield, where you are going to want at least one Arsenal player. So if you're happy enough to make 2 transfers, I would take Saka out right now and get someone who's getting more fixtures in, and then I'd bring him back for that Sheffield game. Cole Palmer as well, someone who really doesn't have that many games coming up, and the one game he does have is against Man City. So I think if you've got the budget there, obviously there's a fantastic enabler this year in Sky, so a lot of people might not really have enough budget to take him out. But I think if possible, I would definitely be moving him on and then getting him back when the fixtures kind of pick back up again. And then we've got Vicario as well. Again, we just kind of spoke about him. you can see in the in section we've got Pickford. I think this week is a very, very easy transfer from Vicario to Pickford. I do think Everton have a very, very decent chance of picking up a clean sheet against Crystal Palace as well. They are very good defensively. It's a home fixture as well, and Palace just aren't really scoring too many goals. So again, easy transfer there. Salah obviously comes in if he's fit, in my opinion. I think that's an obvious one. It's kind of what we've all been waiting for anyway, and it's a move I'd definitely be making. And then we've got Højlund as well. Again, spoke about him last week. We all look at the fixture gains and kind of look at the fixtures and why you could bring him in. Again, captaincies, spoke about it last week. If you want to look more into the Højlund stuff, I would recommend watching last week's Gameweek preview, because we did go over it a bit more. But I think because he plays on Sunday as well, it's a very decent chance to bring him in if you have a striker spot available. And then Son, of course, I would wait on him purely because he doesn't have that many fixtures, and I'd just be waiting until March and bringing him in then. So looking at our fixture gains for this week, I definitely think there is a lot of pretty good moves you could make, because there's obviously a lot of blank game weeks coming up. So talking on Saka, Saliba, kind of just your Arsenal players in general. Again, we can have a look here. After the Burnley game on Saturday, you've only got the Newcastle game, whereas a lot of people, again, you're getting a lot of 3-for-1s from the likes of Man United. Again, maybe Saka to Højlund could be a decent transfer if you wanted. Again, you'd really be looking at this Luton fixture and the Fulham fixture as well. You get a 3-for-1 with Man City as well, 3-for-1 with Luton, a 4-for-1 if you don't already have a captaincy for Everton and Palace. I've seen a lot of people want to be skipping that game. I think with the amount of fixture gains you can gain from it, I would probably just be getting a captaincy in for there. Again, my ideal pick would be Pickford, but if you're maybe looking for an Everton centre back, you could maybe look at someone like Branthwaite. I'm not really too sure on his price, but maybe as a Palmer replacement. I'm not really too sure on the price, but I'd imagine he's quite a similar price to Palmer. It could be a pretty decent move. Again, you're getting a 5-for-1 with an Everton defender over Cole Palmer. Definitely looks worth it to me. Again, probably wouldn't be looking at a Palace player. The fixtures aren't awful. You're getting the single, you're getting a Burnley at home, and you're getting a Luton at home fixture. I just don't think there's anyone that really stands out there. Maybe someone like Eze. I'm not too sure on Elise's situation, if he's still injured, but could maybe look at them if you wanted to. But I do think the Everton defenders are going to be better captains on the single than a Palace player. So for me, that's what I would do. Vicario, again, similar to Cole Palmer. If you have any Spurs players really in general, they don't have many fixtures. Again, only one fixture up until the 9th of March after Saturday. So you're looking at like 4-for-1s with Wolves. You're looking at 4-for-1 with Sheffield. Again, probably wouldn't look at Sheffield. Again, you're looking at Man United, someone like Garnacho, someone like Højlund. 3-for-1s, 4-for-1s. Like there's a lot of fixtures everywhere. And again, you can consider this with the Chelsea players as well. No game until Sunday the 10th of March. So I think if you possibly can, I would definitely be looking to move out Cole Palmer if you've got the available budget, because you look at 4-for-1s with Brighton, that's not even including a captaincy. So I'd be trying my best to get a replacement in there for Palmer if you have the budget available. A decent move that I've found, again, for Cole Palmer, you could maybe move on to someone like Garnacho and then move on to a Wolves player for your Sheffield single. Or again, if you don't have an Everton captain or a Palace captain, maybe someone like, as we just spoke about, Eze. If you had Palmer, need a midfielder, you could move on to Eze for 2 games, get the Everton and Burnley fixture, and then move on the Sunday to a Wolves player, someone like Pedro Neto. That's midfielder to midfielder to midfielder, and you don't really have to worry about the formation. Again, I would like to move Palmer straight on to a Wolves player, but again, the fixtures aren't there. So you're really looking here as like a daisy chain, moving Palmer on to maybe a Brighton players available, Sheffield and Everton, maybe someone like Van Heck. Again, a captaincy, you're getting a 3-for-0, whether it's Everton or Palace. Luton I would avoid. Man City, again, you can maybe move on to another City player, get the Brentford game, get the Bournemouth game. Man United, again, as I was speaking about, maybe Højlund or Garnacho, and then that's probably about it. And then you can move on to a Wolves player for the Sheffield at home fixture. I think Neto's about 7.6 million, so If you've got $1 million in the bank for say, Palmer 6.5, move on to Garnacho at 7.5, I think it is, maybe 7.6, and then you can move on to Neto at 7.6 as well, which looks like a pretty decent move. In terms of bringing in Salah as well, obviously they also blank. If you're talking FPL, they blank in game week 26, but after this Luton fixture, they are missing a game. You're getting a lot of 3-for-1s for other teams, which could put a lot of people off the Salah move. So obviously once this Luton fixture is done, you're getting a 3-for-1, maybe a 4-for-1 with Arsenal. If you're going to be taking them out here, you'd be bringing them in for another captaincy. 3-for-1, 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 3-for-1. So it could put a lot of people off the Salah move, but then it could also make Salah a huge differential for this Nottingham Forest game. A day which Haaland isn't going to be playing, so he could be a pretty big captain there. You've also got Watkins there if you don't want to captain Salah, that is. But I think he could be pretty decent. You would, again, you're getting the captaincy for Luton, so you're maybe looking at Luton and Nottingham Forest as 2 days where Salah's not really highly owned because people don't want to bring him in. And then they've obviously got City, so you could actually see a situation where people aren't bringing in Salah until about mid-March, just because of the lack of fixtures. But again, for me, I think I would be bringing him in for this Luton game, because I don't think, again, you're looking at the spaces between Chelsea and Spurs, the space isn't really there for Liverpool, so I don't really think you're missing out too much. And again, I think Salah easily could do quite well in this Nottingham Forest game if he's starting, compared to those who get 3 fixtures. So I'd be bringing him in on Luton. I think it makes some decent sense. And finishing things off with my team, again, unfortunately it's another week with another red arrow, and it's another week where I've been absolutely torched by Saka. I was sitting about 6,000th here, and then I dropped about 1,500 places. Once Saka obviously done what he did at the weekend. So again, it was another week where I had a nice green arrow, and then I was totally destroyed by one player. So obviously from the start of the overhaul, the whole thing for me was that I had Trippier instead of Saka, trying to go against him. So before the Saka obviously scored a 17-pointer, I was 6 points up on him, so it was going well, and then obviously this result happened, and Arsenal won 6-0, so not ideal, but again, still got 28 transfers in the bag, still should be more than the majority of players, I would imagine. And obviously with just speaking about the fixture gains, there's a lot of opportunity for me this week to kind of make up for. Obviously, a lot of people would have brought in a lot of City players a couple of weeks ago. You're probably looking at a good few with 3 or 4 or 5 City players. So for me, I'm hoping I can use those transfers that I didn't use this week to kind of try and capitalise. So again, I haven't really done too much planning, but we're maybe looking at taking out Saliba. We'll be looking at taking out Trippier after he plays Bournemouth, looking at taking out Palmer, maybe looking at taking out Solanke as well. So we're maybe even looking at 4 transfers over the next week or so. Obviously I want to get Salah back in. Obviously I want to get Neto in at some point as well. And then other than that, I don't really know. Could possibly look at someone like Ake. Obviously we've seen that Vardiol is injured, so Ake looks like he should be pretty solidified in that left back position. So we're looking at we're looking at Salah, we're looking at Ake. Would be looking at Saka at some point, not right now though. In a couple of weeks I'll probably be bringing him in for the single against Sheffield. Obviously going to need Neto at some point, maybe Hwang if we're struggling for cash. I think Neto's the better option, but he obviously needs to come in at some point. Then you could obviously look at someone like Højlund. Obviously the budget's not there, I'm 1.2 million over as well, but Højlund could be a pretty decent option. Maybe someone like Garnacho if we wanted to go cheaper. But again, there's a lot of planning that I'm going to have to do this week. Maybe even Tony as well could be a pretty decent option. But there's a lot of planning needed this week. I'm going to have to sit down and really think about how I want to use these transfers, because I'm sorted for this Everton and Palace game. Obviously I've got Pickford in goals already, who has been very good since the overhaul. We did get the 2 early clean sheets off of him. Didn't expect clean sheets in these games, but we do obviously have Palace, Brighton and West Ham coming up. Probably wouldn't expect a clean sheet here against Brighton, but I think Palace and West Ham could be But could definitely have some good potential for clean sheet points. But again, not proper solidified on what transfers I'm going to be making. Still need to wait on news and stuff for Salah as well. Do get to see the lineups as well for Saturday, which is good news as well. So if Salah's starting Saturday, would I bring him straight in? I wouldn't take him out for Saliba. Probably wouldn't take. I don't think I would actually. I think if Salah's starting against Brentford, I wouldn't go for him. I'd probably just wait for Wednesday, and go for him then, because I don't really want to miss out on these fixtures. I think Trippier against Bournemouth's a good fixture. Saliba against Burnley's obviously a good fixture. Palmer, I don't have the money to move him straight to Salah right now. That could have been an option if I did. And then I think Solanke could do quite well against Newcastle. So I'd just be waiting for Wednesday for that move. Again, captaincies this week is just going to be the players that I spoke about on the captaincy section of the video. Second team's totally out of the water now. Like I'm actually at the point where I might just not show this team anymore, because I'm really just throwing out punts and stuff. I brought in Nunez at the weekend and captained him just for the sake of it. I thought he could do quite decent. So João Pedro came out, and Nunez went in. Again, couple City players in here. We'll probably take Palmer out of this team. 2.1 million in the bank here. I'm going to need a defender if I want to take Saliba out. Vicario is going to come out for Pickford. Solanke might come out as well. But I'm just burning the transfers now in this team, just for some fun. There's no chance I'm going to finish anywhere near the high ranks with this team at 21k right now, so we are focusing mainly on this first team, and again the transfers are going to have to be planned out. But Saliba is one who could come out, Trippier could come out, Palmer could come out, and Solanke could also come out as well. So 4 possible transfers would take me down to 24 transfers. So we'll see. Again, not going to force any transfers. I think Salah's one I definitely want, and obviously we're going to want to take Palmer out, so that's 2 at least that should be getting made this week. But that is going to end off this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Again, apologies that it's on Wednesday, it's a day later than normal. It will be Tuesday again next week, even though there is Champions League stuff. That will definitely be next Tuesday this comes out. So again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.